Hey guys, Martin here. Actually, had a bit of a bad month. I won't lie. It's been, it's not been like awful. It's not been, I've definitely had worse months recently. But rough emotionally. I'm not gonna jerk you around. I've had several sort of mini breakdowns here and there along the month of May, and a lot of that is just your typical anxiety, your typical. Um, well, I'm gonna come straight out and say, it's depression lying to me. It's depression lying to me very aggressively. I actually had a really bad morning this morning, so I apologize if I'm not my usual straightforward self. I'm gonna be very rambly. I'm gonna be very probably very emotional. It's probably gonna be difficult for me to really put my thoughts together just because I woke up and kind of just broke down immediately. And my first instinct is to apologize to you guys for that because I feel like I've let you down, and that is sort of the running theme of how I've been doing this month. And if you're hearing noises from below, by the way, it's because there's a dog sitting on my feet, and she's just looking at me very pathetically, and that's why I might keep looking down at her. I feel like this month has been a long series of letdowns on my part. I feel responsible for letting a large number of people down. Well, to start with, I went to the Ren Fair, the local Ren Fair, with a friend, and I struggle with the Ren Fair. I struggle with any like event where there's lots of people. I don't struggle nearly as much as I used to when things were really bad. I've been able to condition myself to just focus on, the group that's in close proximity with me. I've been able to focus on just, oh, am I with my friends? Oh, then I'm okay. And Ren Fair, everybody's just dressed up. Everybody's there just to play a part, and it's a very staged kind of group event, I guess. I don't feel like real people are going to judge me because they're too busy looking at, the guys getting dunked in the water and everything. But I managed to hurt my foot while I was there. That's the thing, that I feel like an idiot for even bringing this up. But I hurt my foot, and I was on crutches for a couple of days, and that doesn't sound that bad, right? And when I say it out loud, it doesn't sound that bad at all. But I felt like an idiot. I felt like a real moron. I felt like I was causing a problem. And unfortunately, as a result of hurting my foot, it's continued to act up for the rest of the month. I'm gonna have to have it looked at or something. But it's been giving me problems, and as a result, I haven't been able to exercise nearly as much as I'd like. I was exercising every day I want to say over a month leading up to it, and now I've just been sort of like, well, I don't want to make my foot get into a worse condition than it was. I'm sorry if you're watching this and you're thinking I didn't tune in to her still here to listen to you talk about how you hurt your foot. Aside from that, and that is a relatively minor thing, although it's been just there constantly in the back of my mind. Aside from that, I went to a convention called Anime North in Toronto, Canada. It was my first time going. I was very excited to go for different reasons than I usually go to conventions, just because with it being across the border, with it being a different country, I don't sell at conventions where that it's not America, because there's just all this paperwork you have to deal with. I'd just rather not. I'd rather just go and be there and have a good time. So I was like, I'm just gonna go and I'm gonna relax. I'm gonna be with friends. Team 4-Star's gonna be there. My wife's gonna be there. It's her first time in Canada. That's a big deal to us. And I was like, I'm just going to treat it, I hate to say this, I'm going to treat this convention as compared to other conventions where I spend from 10 till 6 p.m. in the dealer's room selling all the time. I'm going to try and treat this one like a more relaxed convention, almost like a vacation. Not a vacation, because obviously I'm there to work, but compared to other conventions, I wanted it to be a vacation. And through nobody's fault whatsoever. I certainly don't want to pin the blame on the convention or the fans or anybody. I just found myself going constantly while I was there. I still felt very overwhelmed. I felt like I was. It was like panel signing, panel like the whole time, and that wasn't anybody's fault. It really wasn't. It was the fact that, for one, I don't think anybody anticipated how long my signings would be, and panels were in different buildings, and I didn't realize. So a lot of it was on me. I hadn't thought ahead and planned and realized that, I'm not going to be having that much time between events. I'm just going to have to rush from one to the other. So ultimately, it was a bit of a stressful time, not in an awful way, but in a way where I was like, do you ever get that way where you gear yourself up and you're like, this is going to be, I can just sort of take it easy and I don't have to worry as much as I usually do. And then you worry even more than you ever have as a result of the fact that things aren't what you expected them to be. And that can be applied to anything, a party, like, school, like anything, like things you expect to have a less strenuous time, and then you get there, and even just based on the fact that it is as strenuous as usual, it feels more strenuous. And it didn't help that I got there, and these were people who had never seen me. They'd never had, a lot of them came up to me and said they'd never had a YouTube guest at this convention before. And so that was a big deal for them. And I felt like and I know this isn't true just based on the fact that so many people came to me and said otherwise and have tried to convince me otherwise. I just felt like I was letting everybody down. I felt like, being there was just like, well, I'm your consolation prize. You could be seeing any number of people who actually would be entertaining to you, but I'm not doing that job. I felt so stressed, and I felt so unprepared. And I hate to say that because I had a whole preview of the new Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged episode. I had 3 panels. I always, like, the rooms were packed and the fans were there. They were so ready to be entertained, and I felt like I was the one who didn't deliver on that. And there was a really frustrating moment for me, frustrating in an emotional way, not like, more like just like, I don't know how I feel right now. I was explaining why I love the main character in Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5 to the people in the crowd, because they were like, have you seen Vrains yet? And at the time, it wasn't available legally in the West to watch. It is now. It's on Crunchyroll. Check it out. They were like, what do you think of Vrains? And I said, well, I haven't seen it yet, but I really like Arc 5, the subsequent spin-off, because I love that main character. I love Yuya. I think he's fantastic. I identify with him a lot. And I went on this very rambly explanation as to why. And ultimately, it boils down to, I like Yuya because, and this is a weird tangent, but it does relate to what I'm talking about. I like Yuya because he's more focused on putting on a good show and making sure people are happy than winning, if that makes sense. It doesn't matter to him if he defeats his opponent as much as it does that he makes people have a good time watching him do it. And I've never really been, a competitive person. But I've been very invested in the idea of making sure that I make other people happy, even, there's just one person or the hundreds of people that are in front of me in a panel room or something. I need to make sure, I need to know that I'm making people happy. And as I was explaining to the crowd why I identified with this guy, I looked out and I was like, I just realized I'm not making any of you happy. I didn't say that. I didn't say it out loud. I just, in my heart, I was like, I'm not making a single one of you happy right now. And that's why I came here. And I feel that's the worst thing for me. That's a really awful feeling for me because, and I'm sorry that this video is the way it is and that I'm doing as bad as I am right now. It really is the worst feeling to look out and realize that I'm not doing the one thing that means more than anything. And that is just making people have a good time and laugh and smile and feel happy. I just bored people. I bored them talking about this completely extraneous thing that the person didn't even ask about, you know? And then just the other day, I uploaded a brand new Mark Remark video, and I've not put out a Mark Remark video in a while because I've been trying to brainstorm this new show, and I've been trying to put together some other things, and I've been working in voiceover, doing stuff in studio. There have been a number of factors that I just haven't been able to sit down and do a Mark Remark, even though I've wanted to super bad. And I finally got the time to do one, and I threw it together, and I was really happy with it. I was super happy with it. The one thing that I was concerned about was the fact that I changed the way I presented myself in the video. And if you've never seen the Mark Remark, basically I portray myself as a character, even though I'm presenting the show as a vlog, as a review show, like anybody else does on the internet. I'm playing a very specific character. I'm playing a very sophisticated, very upbeat, sort of snobbish character who's talking about pro wrestling. And I like the dynamic, and I like the idea behind that because it's a contrast. It's you have the subject of professional wrestling, which is it's kind of lowest common denominator at times, and then you have this very posh, very snobbish sort of freezer sort of sounding voice clashing with that. And I liked the combination. It made it interesting, and it's sort of a satirical way of being like, why are you putting this much thought and emphasis into the logistics and the details of pro wrestling? And it's done half to be funny and half to be serious. With this new one, I just wanted to see if I could do it as me, and it was, as far as creatively goes, the creative decision behind it, I did it because it takes a lot out of me to be that character for such an extended period of time when I'm making those videos. I thought I would try and do it in a more casual way. I thought maybe I could... I guess ultimately I wanted to adjust to see if people liked the show because I was doing a silly voice, or if people liked the show because of what I was saying. And unfortunately I didn't think. That's the thing. When I recorded this new one, I just was me. I just used my regular voice, and I didn't realize that without that character, without him speaking the way he does, a lot of the things I say sound a lot harsher and sound a lot more negative and sound a lot more down. They sound a lot more down on the product than they do when I'm being the sort of Mark Remark character. And I didn't factor that into it, and it had a very negative response. And understandably, I don't resent anybody for having that response. I completely understand it. It was very jarring, and it wasn't necessarily what people wanted, and it gave them a very different impression of what I was saying. So, and it's not like it ruined the show. I certainly don't think that. And I polled the crowd. I polled the Twitter feed. I was like, would you guys prefer if I just didn't do the accent? Would you prefer if I just did the accent? What would you like? And most people would just like go back to doing the voice. And that's disheartening to me for a couple of reasons, none of which are I don't like that I have to do that voice. I'm very happy that I did something that people enjoyed. It's disheartening to me because I let people down by doing my regular voice. I let people down by changing the content of the series that they were watching without really thinking about it and without regard as to what they wanted. And as a result, I'm sure that video didn't make people laugh as much as it should have. And I feel really bad that, that's obviously disappointing for, a number of people. And that's the last thing I want to do. And I also just feel disheartened by it because I guess I also tried to just be me in the video because I just wanted to see if I could be me and still be entertaining, because I guess I'd gotten the impression from my panels at Anime North that wasn't a thing I could do, and people I've heard many times, and I feel it and I understand it, that, people don't care about me. They just want to see the videos. And I don't think that's true of everybody, but I understand it. And that was I guess my attempt to be like, I want to see if people would still care if it was just me. And a lot of people didn't. And that's okay. I sound so stupid. I sound so stupid crying about this. And I'm not crying because some people might not care about me, because ultimately that's not a big deal. That's inconsequential. I still matter, regardless of whether there's some person out there who could give or take my existence. Like, that doesn't mean anything. There are people who could. There are people who care greatly about me, who are close to me in real life. And that's the thing that matters. The thing that I'm crying about is just that I let those people down to that extent, I've just felt this month like I've let a lot of people down. It's a difficult thing for me to deal with. It's difficult for me to be okay with, but I'm trying really hard to be okay with it, because if I dwell on it, I will get stuck on it, and I won't be able to move past it. And until you can move past it, it cripples you. It stops you dead in your tracks, as far as emotions go. You can't have that kind of obstacle in your path, or you're never going to get anywhere. And I need to get past it. I tweeted the other day, because that's how most of my social discourse happens. I tweeted, "The depression is a liar." I tweeted that depression was a liar, and that it would tell you that people don't care. And the truth is that people can and will care, and depression doesn't. And it's important to recognize that, because you can't trust it. You can't trust those lies. And I feel like a lot of what I'm feeling is because I'm listening to the lies a little too much, a lot more than I'm listening to what is truth, what is being told. In here is much louder than what I'm hearing from outside a lot of the time, certainly this past month. But I want you to know, and I want me to know, that what depression tells you is based on the idea that you are weak, but you're not weak. Depression is the weakness. Depression is the sickness that is in your head, and it is trying to tell you anything that it can to make it stronger than you, which just, until you give it that power, is not possible. Until you give over yourself to depression completely and let it completely take over and give up, depression is going to be weaker than you. As strong as it seems, as loud as it seems, as valid as what it says seems to be, it's not. No matter how many times I feel like I'm letting people down, the truth is there are people I know who don't feel that way, who don't feel let down, who reach out to me every day because I matter to them. And it's not because of videos, and it's not because of any voice that I've done, it's not because of going to a convention, it's not because of any of that, it's not because of any of the things that I'm doing creatively. It's just because of who I am. It's because of Martin. It's because of just who I've made myself. On a basic level, I matter to people. And that's all that matters. I don't matter to depression. I don't matter to him at all, I don't matter to the guy who's lying to me. The guy who wants me to be worse off and to have nothing. I don't matter to that guy, so why should I listen to him? Anyway, this has been going on for a while. I apologize for how long this was. And I apologize that it wasn't a super positive one. I wanted to come to you guys and be like, yeah, everything's good. But I also didn't want to lie to you. So I hope your month went better. I hope your month, this month goes well. I hope both our months, hope both our Junes go well. And here's to not listening to the lies. I'll see you later, okay? Take care.